Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to Bell with Bobby Blaze. I am your host, Professor Jeremy Vilmer, and joining us now, the reigning and defending both TV champion and American Junior Heavyweight Champion of Smoky Mountain Wrestling, Bobby Blaze.
Hey, gobble, gobble. Also, don't forget, I might be the turkey champion still, too.
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
not sure, but on Thanksgiving coming up, happy Thanksgiving, and I might go for the turkey title. And I'm not talking about eating the most turkey. I'm talking about getting tarred and feathered out there in the middle of the ring. Oh, wait a minute. That's what we're going to talk about later on today.
Yeah,
okay.
that's a topic for later, I think.
Okay, yeah. All right, well, happy Thanksgiving.
Yes,
Jeremy,
happy Thanksgiving.
And all of our fans out there, yes, thank you. So by the time you hear that, you'll be hopefully listening on Thanksgiving Day. Yeah, and we're back with episode 62, and we're going to pick up where we left off last week. Is that correct?
Yeah, as much as we can, yeah. That is the plan.
Cool deal, man. How you been, Professor?
I've been doing okay. I'm enjoying this new Mandalorian series they're running on the new the Disney Plus streaming channel. That's been really good. It's basically Star Wars as a Western. Been a hell of a thing. I've really liked it. Cool.
Well, I watched a little bit of Prime last night. I stream everything here too.
Mm-hmm.
I'm big on YouTube. I'm not giving you a segue or anything, but we was talking a bit off the air. I started watching a bit of Prime again last night and this morning. So a lot of good stuff out there, man. So you're watching Disney, the new Disney Star streaming. Is that what it is?
Yeah, they've got their new service up, and it's basically everything Star Wars, Marvel, Fox, and Disney has ever done is pretty much available on there. But they're also doing new series as well. They got this one, The Mandalorian, which is basically about a guy that looks like Boba Fett kind of going around picking up bounties, and it has, also give the spoiler, a Baby Yoda in it, which has really been selling the show to everybody.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
That's cool. All right. Well, you got any shout-outs this week?
No, just happy Thanksgiving, you turkeys.
Well, I don't know if these people's going to hear these shout-outs, but first of all, big shout-out to all the fans that listen to us.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks for all the likes and the retweets. I appreciate that. But I've got two. I've got one from Thunder Rosa, got me a like and a retweet there. And, I've been trying to follow her here since she's in NWA, and man, I'm really digging what she's doing. She just looks so real to me as far as everything, her passion, the look, the in-ring work and things. So I just put her over, kind of a nice little tweet out there, wishing her the best continued success, and got a little like and retweet on that. And also, I got one also from the Singing at King It show. I don't know if you like Theo Vaughn and Brendan Schwab, I guess it is, but I like Theo Vaughn as a comedian, and I started watching that King It or Sting It, and I got a little retweet from them about an old 80s commercial. I knew the reference, and I just tweeted it out, and they gave it a like or whatever. Sometimes it's nice when you get them people that are, verified or whatever, and they acknowledge that, hey, there's someone out there that, really does answer some of those tweets and emails and things like that. So, just kind of dig that, man, because I'd like to think that, when someone responded, Troy, if you're listening, there's another shout out right there out in the Maritimes. He just picked up our show. He subscribed. Thank you very much. He didn't realize that we was available on all these different, wherever you pick up podcasts, we're available. And he wrote me a little thing there on Twitter, and a little apology about not finding it sooner. I was like, man, you ain't got to apologize. Just thanks for listening, And so he also brought up, we was talking about Tim Hortons last week. So It's always cool. I think it's cool. What I was getting at is I don't look at myself as some big celebrity or some big star or anything like that. I'm just me. But I'd like to think that those people, they realize if they are at that level, when someone does send them something, they can't respond to everything, and I know that. But at least they say, oh, man, that's pretty cool. They got a reference to, hey, that guy actually liked what I was doing in the ring, or they caught that joke, or whatever it was, So stuff like that to me is pretty cool. I guess it's just me being a mark. What can I say?
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, like I get that way. Pro wrestlers, when they respond, I get all nerded out. Actors and stuff that I like, I get nerded out when they get give me a retweet or stuff. So I totally get it. But I did see where Thunder Rosa had replied to you, and my only thought was, I bet Bobby needed a towel after that. But,
Yeah. that's kind of, that's where I was going with it. I was probably having a cold beer, so I was like, okay, I'm in a good place.
Yep. Yeah.
But yeah, that kind of goes along with, Cole was talking about, just kind of continue what we was talking about last week there. It's not like we're getting starstruck or whatever when you ask me that question. It's just that, it's nice sometimes just to get that acknowledgement. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
Like you saw that. That to me is pretty cool. And I'm glad when people take the time out of their day, because they got busy schedules, that they'll, traveling and wrestling and doing this and doing that, hey, they did at least respond to something, man. It means something to them because I meant it sincerely, and it meant something to me because I know they're like, oh, okay, they acknowledge it. That's all, So, and I'm not one of these fucking people, one of these people that needs to go around. I got to be acknowledged, nothing like that. It's just fun, and that's what I use my Twitter, my social media. That's my outlet for that. So
yeah, absolutely.
That's cool. That's cool, man. But that's the only things I had. And of course, like I said, to the fans, I know we talked about this off the air, just a brief second there. I don't know how you feel about talking about it on air, but the whole NWA thing with Jim Cornette. I just wanted to say I'm still a Jim Cornette guy. I caught the reference and when I listened to the show, I was watching it, I was like, okay, I didn't think too much about it because I didn't think anything racist. I just thought, okay, that's an outdated joke kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't really pay much attention to it. And I got hit up on Twitter a couple of times before it even went off the air, I guess, that they was pulling it. And I was like, okay, I just thought maybe it's an outdated joke or whatever. And then I thought Jim's, I listened to the podcast the other day, and I thought his apology was fine for whatever. I didn't, I'm still a Cornette guy, and that's really all I wanted to say about it. I didn't see anything racist. I wasn't trying to think racist. I just thought it was an outdated joke, and that's that. And Jim, apparently he's just got a lot of fucking haters in the world, and someone's going to always find something that they don't like you for. And people might say, well, Bobby, I don't like you anymore. If you like Jim, well, that's fine. He's always been good and honest to me and upfront with me. And his views are his views. And I took his apology for what it was. He apologized to the people he thought he needed to, told the rest of them to blow him or whatever. And that's just kind of like, I thought still was a good show. I really thought that week was the strongest week of NWA this week. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the episode.
Yeah, it was a good episode this week. So, me and my brother get together every Tuesday and watch wrestling. Now, we're in California, so we get it, later is when we're sitting down to watch it. I mean, it's, 6:05 out here, so it's 9 o'clock your guys' time back east. And we couldn't find it. So Dustin jumps on Twitter, man, and there's the clip right there. I mean, yeah, at first, my first inclination is that's an outdated joke. Yeah. But here's the thing. He told us a bad joke in poor taste, but he stepped in a racist landmine when he did it. I don't think Jim Cornette's a racist. I don't believe that for a minute. I feel like every southern white guy, he's probably said some racist shit in his lifetime. I think that's probably true. So if somebody wants to go digging around through the 80s, I'm sure they can come up with an example that doesn't, I think, make him a racist. But we do live in a society with systemic racism where this shit that thinking some of these jokes are okay is not that person's fault. It's society's fault that these jokes were ever okay to tell in the first place. But yeah, I think he was going for a hungry joke and stepped in a racist one.
Yeah.
That being said, you personally know Jim Cornette. I feel like I've listened to his show enough and I've talked to enough people that know him that he probably wasn't going to be around for the second group of tapings anyways. Something was going to come up somewhere, and he's going to be like, fuck it. I don't need this shit.
Yeah, I don't know. I think he had planned on being around for the second round. I don't know. I thought he was enjoying it that much, but also I could see where, and I don't think he's a racist in the least bit.
Yeah.
It's one of those things where I think it's one of those things, as long as it was fun for him, he was going to do it, and maybe it just wasn't get fun for him anymore. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. He's his own man, so I can't speak for him, and he apparently does very well for himself. So just like with anything, I hope he continues to do good with his cult of Cornette. It's just that And here's the thing that gets me about it is I'm going to still watch the fucking NWA without Jim Cornette on there. And that's the thing. People are out there saying, I'm not going to watch it because he's not on there anymore. Well, there's all kinds of other people to watch and going to do a second set of taping soon and a pay-per-view and all those things. So that's reason enough. But then the other people say, okay, now I'm going to go and watch it. Now he's not on there. I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? You didn't watch it. You wasn't going to watch it, you know. So that's what gets me about some people, I guess. And it's no different than if we ranted about the AEW or WWE or whatever it is. If someone went on there and you wanted to see them, you'd turn the channel and watch them. And if they're on that show, you say, you know what, you just turn that segment off if you don't want to see that person. Or you choose not to watch the fucking product to begin with and say, you know what, I'm not watching, you know, we've got a lot of good wrestling out there to watch right now, so you can pick and choose what the hell you want to watch, you know. I just can't see where people, especially if you're a wrestling fan, saying, okay, now that so-and-so's gone, I'll watch again. That's kind of, that's soapy. I don't know. That's just, I don't know, I don't like that. But anyway, that's really all I wanted to say about it. That's the thing, I'm not going to stop watching the NWA because Cornette's not on anymore. I've enjoyed the show. I think he added to it, but also because it had that old school nostalgic feeling or whatever, and he brought that back to it. But I'm sure they'll still be okay, and I think the NWA is going to be fine. I think AEW, the ratings this week were a little bit closer. I'm not sure. I saw something about them. Maybe NXT beat them this week. I'm not sure what that was. But you know what? I hope all those brands continue to do good, man. But I'm a wrestling fan, and that means there's more independent wrestlers that are going to do good too.
Yeah, I want to see those ratings as close as possible. I want to see fans going back and forth. I want there to be competition.
I think it was closer this week than what I read. I could be wrong on that. It was closer than what they had been.
Because here's the thing. Wrestling companies get lazy when they're winning consistently.
Yes. Well, you brought that up before AEW when you said they're going to stop being a T-shirt company and become a wrestling company, you know, or, you know, several podcasts ago before they actually made their debut on Wednesdays there. But you're right, man. Look what they've had to do. WWE's had to up their game. They've had to put, you know, there's all the people from SmackDown all stepped up here a few weeks ago. You know, I think from NXT stepped up to SmackDown a few weeks ago. I think that's great, man. Give these people opportunities to work and get out there and make money and showcase their talents. And, okay, Jeremy, get ready for it. It's Thanksgiving, by God, listen. And entertain us fans, you know what I'm saying? So that's what we're watching some professional wrestling. Hopefully that's entertaining.
Yeah. Just, you know, guys, put it in the ring. That's, you know, that's, to me, like, occasionally you can do something in a back room or a parking lot or whatever. But the majority of everything needs to be in the ring.
Right.
You know, the storytelling, the angle setups, the action needs to be in the ring. Or I'll watch a soap opera if I want to watch a goddamn soap opera. You know.
I hear you there, Susan Lucci.
Exactly. You know.
Oh, yeah. Okay, I dated myself on that one there.
Yeah.
All my children reference there for Thanksgiving people out there, catch up on your soap operas. I don't even know if they I think Days of Our Lives just went on hiatus. I don't even know if they have soap operas anymore. They got the soap opera network, I guess. I don't know. But I'm with you. If I want to watch wrestling, I want to watch wrestling. But anyway, let's talk some wrestling. How's that?
Yeah, absolutely. Where do we want to go? I mean, let's.
Well, I'll pick up. We left out last week. I think when we talked about Smoky Mountain, and I was getting ready. I talked about getting First Contact all the way through, getting the TV title, shot at the TV title, beating Dirty White Boy, and starting my program with him. And then Candido was starting his program with Horner, and then that was leading us to mine and Candido's matches. And I mentioned Thanksgiving Thunder earlier in the podcast here. So what happened was they had this junior, and speaking of which, Jeremy smartened me up. This is why he's the professor, folks. He smartened me up. I was the last TV champion of Smoky Mountain Wrestling, and also the last junior heavyweight champion of wrestling, of Smoky Mountain Wrestling, rather. And that junior heavyweight title belt was, I think Scott Armstrong owned it. It was very beautiful. It was red, white, and blue. It had a nice, beautiful plate on it, some side plates. Very, very beautiful belt. I've got some pictures of it somewhere around here. I'm sure you can find them online. I'm standing there holding the thing. But anyway, So I was talking about working for Bobby Fulton some, and I was working for Cornette. So I was doing down south with Cornette, if you want to say, we talked about the territory, Kentucky, Tennessee, Virginia, West Virginia, down in that, So then on Bobby's end, I was doing mostly up in Ohio, a little bit northern Kentucky and into Ohio. So I got this junior heavyweight title, and like I said, it was a straight shoot, man. I won this big junior heavyweight championship of the world, of the United States, rather, up in Columbus, Ohio, on one of Bobby Fulton's shows, big time wrestling. So go with what you will on that. Believe what you want on that. So I get the title, and me and Candido and myself will go back and forth for it. So what a story I'd like to tell you about it is I got this title, and I go on TV, and I'm doing this and doing that. I defend the title. And speaking of Cornette, he was actually commentating as a heel commentator, and I done a Northern Light suplex on a guy on TV. And Cornette, I was telling about my missile drop kick had been my finish earlier than that, and I've been saving this Northern Light suplex. And Cornette popped in. Bobby Blaze won by Northern Light suplex, and he'd come up out of the chair. That was really funny. But so that was my finish, and I started my program with Candido. And basically, he wants to do his crazy ass spot. He wants to do a power bomb off the top rope. And I'm like, man, are you fucking crazy? I mean, I remember just kind of what I was telling you there before we went off there last week is we was at this like an armory, I guess it was. It had a ramp down to the locker rooms kind of thing. And I was a little bit taller than him. And I was standing up above him, so I was looking down at him, and he's looking up at me. And I'm like, this little crazy bastard. Of course, he wasn't little. He's a big, thick guy, strong as a fucking ox. And I'm going, are you fucking crazy, man? And I'm just like looking down, like I said, not looking down, his stature or anything, or I was like looking down at him physically, like, what the fuck? You're going to get up here and do this on the top rope? And he goes, yeah, I saw this in Japan, or on a tape from Japan. So I was like, I used to watch all the tapes from Japan when I was down at Tampa and read the magazines, or at least looked at the pretty pictures in it,
Yeah.
And so what happened was we're getting ready to go to the to our first run. It started on a couple, Thanksgiving there, a couple weeks beforehand, and he wants to do his power bomb off the top rope. We get to the ring, and we start having our match, boom, ba boom, ba boom, back and forth, and it comes to the spot where basically I shoot him in, I give him a kick, I pick him up. Actually, no, he climbs up on a rope like he's going to do something off the top, and I run across the ring, and I do a wheel kick where I jump up, kind of flip over, and kick him and knock him down to where he's straddling the top rope. Well, then I look, and I go like I'm going to give him, I give him the office, I give the fans the office, I go up to the second rope like I'm going to give him the old superplex. So I hook him around the neck, I grab his tights, I go to pick him up to do like a superplex. Well, he steps up to the top rope, but he gives me a gut shot, and when he does, I double over. He reaches down from the top rope as I'm coming up towards the top rope, grabs me underneath the waist, and picks me up and power bombs me off the top rope. Now, that was the first time anyone had done it in the U.S. There's been a couple people that's done it since. We done it 4 nights in a row, folks, let me tell you. But that first night, here's what happened. So he done it, and, man, I hit. It just jarred out of me,
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, I'm laying there, and he comes over to pick me up. Well, as he does, I do something or other to where basically he decides he's going to go back up to the top rope again. Now, I've just taken this big bump, one of the biggest. And I remember some of the people several of the people had friends in Atlanta, meaning WCW time, coming up to me after we done that loop going, man, all the boys in Atlanta's talking about that spot, Bobby. I guess the Armstrongs had told Brad about it, and Brad was telling the guys, people had seen it. It's just the way the business, inside people knew stuff was going on because we're all fans of the, and I was like, oh, man, I'm getting over in Atlanta. That's great, But anyway, so as he goes back up to the top, I'm laying flat on the ground, but I jump up to my feet, and then as he jumps off the top, I jump up in the air, and I drop kick him mid-flight and knock him out of the air. Beautiful spot. But here's the thing. It was an inappropriate time to put that spot because when he power bombed me off the top rope, I should have just basically been dead. Boom, dead no comeback right there. But I came back up and did the one extra thing, a drop kick out of desperation. The match finishes. Boom. Okay. It got over. The first town was Hazard, Kentucky. We're going to do a 4-day loop of, Knoxville, Johnson City, Barbersville, Kentucky. And so we go to the back, and, of course, people loved it. But here's Kevin Sullivan. He's waiting on us. Now, once again, we're on this ramp, but Candido and I, because it goes down to the locker room, we're kind of standing equal to each other, and Sullivan's kind of standing above us, but I'm still at least taller than him when we stand there talking to us. And this is such brilliance, man. So we're sitting there, and he's like, guys, what a great fucking spot. That was great. That was great. He goes, but here's the thing. What are you going to do next, Bobby? You gonna cut off this fucking heft machete? You know what? What do you? He said, here's what you should have done. And we're both listening. Chris and I are being very respectful, listening to what he's saying, because he's got a lot of praise for it, and it's really getting over. He goes, but here's the thing. He said, Bobby, you should have never came back up and drop kicked him. He said it was a good drop kick. The wrong place to put that at. Put it somewhere else. You know, you all do it and somewhere else in the match, or don't do it. But here's what you do. If you plan on doing that again, the rest of this loop, then, Bobby, when you take the bump, Chris, you go over and you pick him up. But, Bobby, you dead weight him. Don't come up. Don't work with them. Chris, you look around like, holy fuck, what have I done? He said, Bobby, just sell dead. And he said, you'll see how much better this spot will get over, because that's what you should be once you take that big bump like that. And, by the way, guys, excuse me, I could go fight Brian Lee in a spike match. Have a good night. He runs off down the ramp. So he's talking about us doing a big bump and keeping it realistic and this and that, cutting someone's head off machete. But he goes, oh, by the way, guys, excuse me, I go fight Brian Lee in an Asian spike match. You know, runs off. So me and Chris look at each other, wait for he gets out of sight. We'll start busting out laughing, man. Like, can you believe that he's fucking putting our match over? But then he goes and says he has to, you know, do an Asian spike match, whatever. So point of that is, what we did, show what Sullivan knew what the fuck he was talking about, and Chris and I listened and done the right thing. The next 3 nights, once we came to that spot, I don't even know how many minutes we was into the match, you know, 10, 12 minutes into it, maybe 15, depending on how long we were supposed to go each night. He gives me the bump. He comes down off the top rope, you know, boom, I'm laying there. When he brings me down, he goes like he's going to pick me up. I just dead weight. And he looks around. He starts selling facially like, what the fuck, you know, let's go to the next spot kind of thing. The place, it was great. It got over so good because there was no need to do anything else. So then when Chris gets me up, or does pick me up, and when I do come up, it means something now. You know, there's no need to do a drop kick. There's no need for him to climb back up to that next rope. He's already done everything he needs to. So then he works it into, I think, a neck breaker, and goes for it the second time, and I Northern Lights him out of nowhere. You know, so boom, 1, 2, 3, and roll out. And it just got over so much more better. And then if he went over, basically he got the first neck breaker or whatever, put his feet on the ropes to win or whatever, you know what I'm saying? So it all makes much more better sense to not jump up and sell that spot. That was my point of that story. So we had a good run with that. We also done the turkey title. And so what that was, we did a thing where, again, we did another 4 towns in a row. And we did, Chris, we went down to, we was talking about Tim Hortons last week. Well, we went down to Tim Horner's, down by a big lake by his house, and Candido was going to throw my belt, my junior heavyweight title belt in the damn river. And, we're down there. It's freezing ass cold, man. And, Cornette and then with the crews out there, the camera crews out there. And, I'd actually pulled pulled more MCL in my knee, my right knee. So I was working with a knee brace on, and I had that underneath my blue jeans, and I had a t-shirt and a hoodie. Candido, you son of a beep, like, cause I caught him right when, you know, like someone alluded to on, Twitter there a while back, someone ran that video clip off of YouTube, I guess. And, they're like, now what's the likelihood that Bobby Blaze would be down there at the river when Chris is getting ready to throw the belt in there? But he had invited me down anyway on our pre-segmented things. But man, let me tell you, that river was cold, cold, cold. I had to go in after. I went to go get it. I went to block him from throwing the belt in, which thankfully he didn't. And he drops it, but he throws my ass in. So I went in, you know, ass over elbows into the cold ass river. And, that sets up our turkey title matches. And basically what that was, Jeremy, I'm going to shut up and let you ask some questions. The winner of the match was actually the loser, because if you lost, you got tarred and feathered. And so they put a big, tarp out in the middle of the ring after each match, and, poured, molasses all over my ass and my body, and took a big feathered pillow, which I'm allergic to feathered pillows, but he ripped that son of a gun open and threw feathers all over me, and it stuck to that damn molasses all over my body. I was just a giant turkey. Even though I won, what he would do, he'd glom me from behind or do something when I was sitting there celebrating, and I'd fucking end up getting tarred and feathered. But then, of course, it was all fun. Not, because what he'd do, he'd turn around and feed into me, and I'd hug him like I was congratulating him on his win, and I'd get the fucking tar and feather on him as well. And that was a good segment. It was fun to do. It was hard to do, but it shows how much you're willing to put into your work. You know, when you love doing what you're doing, you know, it made it fun. It was good. It was well worth it. I'll say that. Just to work with Chris and have those kind of matches with him and defend the junior heavyweight title and have that good run with Chris Candido. And we've actually done an episode on it, as you know, and I'll let you do some questions, then we'll move on from there to the next part of the Smoky Mountain Wrestling career.
Okay, so somebody says they're going to power bomb you off the top rope, and you think that's a good idea and go through with it. That's my first question.
Well, I didn't think it was a good idea. I thought, oh shit, are you fucking crazy? That was my first idea. First thought.
Yeah, that's one. You know, okay, not having been a pro wrestler, but having done martial arts and stuff and learning how to take falls and things, I don't know how you learn to absorb a fall like that, no matter how prepared you are. That sounds to me like you're just going to hit the road like a bug hitting a windshield, you know?
It was a hard bump to take.
Yeah.
I'll say that. The first day, my leg actually, when I spun over, was on the back of his shoulder, almost, was when we hit the mat. About 3/4 of my body hit, but one leg was up in the air across his shoulder. So that gave me a real jar, because I got some numbness in my leg where it didn't actually hit. It just kind of stretched, almost hyperextended over his back and shoulder.
Yeah.
You know, my upper back, my butt, my left leg hit, but my right leg kind of caught his shoulder. The other three, and he laid me out flat. That was the main thing. That was my main concern, to get laid out flat, so I had a chance to get my chin on my chest, you know, which I did. But yeah, there was no way to prepare for it other than, like I mentioned, he was strong. He was a very, very strong guy. And prior to doing that, we had actually, you know, he had power bombed me before. He had picked my weight up. I was weighing about 215 then, and he could get me up pretty easy and controlled once I was getting up there on him. And I had been on his shoulders before, done a spot where I'd do a leapfrog and he'd catch me in midair. So I knew he was strong enough for that. Like I said, he had power bombed me. He had put me over the top rope before and suplexed me, and I had suplexed him off the middle or off the top rope, laying across it, not up on it, you know. So yeah, that was the main thing and then just trusting that, you know, he's going to lay you out flat and hope for the best.
Yeah, you guys put a lot of trust in each other in that industry. That is for sure. You really only are as good as the guy you're working with, I guess.
Yeah, you basically two dance partners, you know, and you got to take care of that other guy, because if you don't work that night, and someone's not making money, you know, and that's not good.
Yeah, that is very true. Also, so the TV title, and I know we're talking about the junior heavyweight title there, but the TV title was done kind of in a different style than just having a guy with a championship. It was like periods of weeks or something. Wasn't there something more to
Yeah. 5 weeks is the most you could. I think it was 5 weeks is the most you could have it. And of course, if you had at that time, I can't remember what the exchange was. But basically, you got $1,000 at the end of that 5 weeks, and you got to keep the title, or had to relinquish the title to someone else. I can't remember exactly how that worked, but you know, usually the way it was worked, you know, after 3 or 4 weeks, your program was going to, you know, change up anyway, so it switched to whoever. And it didn't actually include a title belt. It was just that was the actual title of it. You was a TV champion, and you got, you know, reward of getting to wrestle, of course, every TV taping. So you get more exposure, and that helps you at your house shows and stuff with your gimmicks and all that. And then you know, got that bumped bonus there at the end, kayfabe or whatever, you know. So.
Yeah. And so then that kind of acted more like a way to get somebody from just starting off to maybe into that second tier, like maybe going after the American Junior Heavyweight Championship scene.
Yes.
That's kind of the transition.
Yes.
So that gets you to tier 2, and then after that you can go after the title itself, or, you know, have the big platform, right?
Right. Yes,
okay.
sir. That's kind of the way it works. And so I started that run off with Tony, and I'd done that TV, defended it, you know, several different times. got to do the underdog gimmick. There's no need to fear. Underdog is here. That was one of the funnier things that White Boy. I know it had to be White Boy underneath that hood as the mighty Yankee or whatever. Him and Ron Wright out there. Ron Wright at ringside in that wheelchair, and fucking Tony throws me outside the ring, and there's Ron. I had to feed him.
Yeah.
But no, it was all business only and fun. But like I said, it got me a good little push going early on, and like I said, Chris was doing his thing with Tim, and then we was also working other little spots and spot shows in between and programs in between, so that was always good. And then so I stuck around after the junior heavyweight title. I don't know how it all worked out as far as how much longer I stuck around for that, but it's one of those things where Cornette come to me and asked me to take like 3 months off, just somewhere in between there, because I think his saying is, how am I going to miss you if you don't go away, kind of thing. And so even though I'd done like a couple of house shows that were closer to my home, I wasn't back on the full. I was mentioned earlier in last week's segment, 12 to 16 bookings a month or what have you. Excuse me, a regular crew like the Rock and Roll Express and Tracy, White Boy, and a different crews he was bringing in, we're doing those loops 4 times. So I took about 3 months off, and then came back, and then just kind of worked from there. And then so I was working a lot of independent dates. There's another time I like to tell you, but now's not really the time. I had a chance to go to Puerto Rico, and I had a chance also to go to Memphis, but I'm not going to go into details on those times for those 3 month periods. I'll discuss that at a later date. It's just to kind of keep the flow of the story going. But I did work a lot of independents, and I was working out up at a gym, so I had a little place, to stay at when I was on the road. So it worked out real good. And that Smoky Mountain TV was strong enough that I stayed busy down in Tennessee and Eastern Kentucky and like I said, Virginia and West Virginia as well. So I went back. I don't know how long I worked for. I don't know, maybe another 2 or 3 months. And then Cornette come to me again and said, hey, I need you to finish up. Got some things going on here and there, blah, blah, blah. Like, okay, no big deal. I mean, it was a big deal because, you liked work and I liked the atmosphere and morale and stuff, but I was always around it enough. Like I say, even during that 3 month period of hiatus or whatever, I would still see guys on independent shows, or like I said, I would do a house show that might be an hour or an hour and a half from my home, even though I wasn't even advertised. I went one time to the show 30 minutes from my house, at a grade school, and I just showed up and done the battle royal. Jimmy just needed someone to fill in, and it's one of those things like, hey, yeah, I've got it, no big deal, so you still get to be around it. It's just I wasn't on a full-time crew. So during that time, what happened was I was up in West Virginia, getting ready to go to Tennessee. I know that sounds crazy, but here's what happened. I had been up there meeting a couple radio people in West Virginia and had lunch with them, and I was getting ready to run an upcoming show, with a local establishment and this and that, blah, blah, promote it, and, for some reason I had all my gear with me. I was already out near the highway. So that's why I was and that's only about 12 to 15 miles away is all I was up in West Virginia when I say that, being in Kentucky. So when I came back through, I was going to go to Tennessee that night, which means I just backtrack 10 or 15 miles, whatever. But for some odd reason, I still don't know to this day, I stopped by my house in the afternoon after that lunch before heading back towards Tennessee. I don't know why I did it, but so I go in the house, and I'm only there a few minutes, and my phone rings, and it's Jim Cornette. And this, like I said, this is a Friday afternoon, probably by this time about 2:00, something like that. 'Cause like I said, I had a business lunch with some radio people, and I needed to get to Tennessee. And I thought, that's odd. When I picked it, I had caller ID back then. I picked it up, and I was like, he go, hey, Bob, Jimmy, and he got a minute? Like, yeah, we talked. I told him, he asked what I'd been doing. Like I said, we hadn't been out that much of a contact or anything, but he said, I said, I'm getting ready to make a town in Tennessee. I'm getting ready to go down there for a couple of nights. He goes, yeah, I've got and he was down in Morristown, I guess, and I knew Smoky Mountain was running a couple of shows too, so I was like, yeah, but I was doing an independent show. I said, I'll be down in Tennessee over the weekend. I'm just staying busy, Jimmy, like you told me. He goes, listen, I got an idea for you. Let me know if you like this or not, kind of thing. And I was like, I remember sitting on the edge of the bed, that's where the phone was, right by the little, your little dresser or whatever, and nightstand. And I'm sitting there, and he says, think about putting a strap on you, put a title on. What do you think? And I put my hand over the receiver. I rolled back in bed. I was kicking my legs out there like a fucking schoolgirl. Like I said, I'm like, what the fuck? I put the title on me. I'm like, what the fuck? To myself, cracking up out inside, saying it in a good way.
Sure.
And I come back up, off my back, put my feet back on the floor, like, yeah, Jim, what you got? He goes, here's what's going on. I got to run it by Jerry first, because Jerry the King Lawler, who I'm talking about here. He goes, I got to run it by Jerry, but I've got this idea in mind, and I'll have to get back with you. But what I'm asking you is don't tell anyone. Don't say anything to anyone. And, he might preface with that. You can't say anything. And, of course, I knew kayfabe, and I did this with the Wide Men Can't Jump. They got a shoot interview with me talking about the title as well. So if you'll go and visit their site, feel free to do that, man. There's a bunch of good guys up there, Nate and Tim and TR. Give them a quick plug there. But like I told them, man, at the time, I just, I don't know how many people knew. Me and Cornette probably, Sandy Scott, and probably, Mark Curtis, and then, of course, Lawler, and probably just Landell and White Boy, maybe about 7 to 8 people. I don't know if anyone, knew exactly what was going on. And I don't know to what extent Buddy or White Boy even knew what was going to go on at that point. I think it was probably just me and Cornette and probably Sandy Scott and Mark Curtis. Us 4 maybe, because he said I have to run it by Jerry first, to make sure, because that's where the direction was going to go. And so that's kind of how, and that was about probably 6 or 8 weeks before I got the title run. So that was, several weeks out before that title run was in February of 95. That call probably was in late December, early January, so that was the other thing. And from there, just, if you want to take a break here of telling that story, ask some questions, give a couple of cheap plugs on something, let's get that out of the way, and I'll come back and start talking about February 26, 1995, Sunday, Bloody Sunday. How's that?
Oh, that's fine. Honestly, I don't have any questions, because the one story I have to tell is about when my grandson saw the photograph, but it's from the aftermath.
Yeah.
So I got to save that. Okay. What we could do, let's go ahead and let's give everybody the address for our Twitter accounts real quick.
Yeah. Okay. Well, you can find Jeremy, the professor, over there at the Geekish Cast. That's on Twitter, the Geekish Cast. You can find me at Bobby Blaze 744. I appreciate you following me and all the likes and retweets. And also, we got a joint account that Jeremy runs, and it's the Bell to Bell Blaze. A lot of times, Jeremy will put something on there, and he'll put a little J by it, so you know it's him. And of course, you can see it, the Geekish Cast also, if he's not doing it as a Geekish Cast. I just do it as Bobby Blaze, but Jeremy kind of controls that, and I trust him with that enough that we're getting a lot of good, we get a lot of good retweets off that as well, a lot of good posts off that as well, some good conversation. But yeah, find me at Bobby Blaze 744, find Jeremy at the Geekish Cast, or follow a joint account at Bell to Bell Blaze. And that's our plug for Twitter right there, Jeremy.
Yeah. So if anybody out there, you want to interact with us, Twitter is the best way to do it. We do have a Facebook page, but Bobby does not use Facebook. So anybody you interact with on there officially would be either me or Tex.
Yeah, so, I think I've been off Facebook for 3 years now, guys, and I just don't miss it. I got away from it, as Jeremy knows. We've talked off the air. I just don't. I just prefer Twitter. So, that's what I'm on. That's my social media platform. I've threatened to come back, and I don't. I've threatened to get Instagram again, but I don't. I threaten myself, so I threaten. Mm-hmm. But I just like Twitter. It's easy for me, and that's what I give my time to. And speaking of which, you say text, and we got the Facebook page there, like I said. And I want you guys, listen, go there and interact. And what I'm going to say in just a second, I want you to interact on. The best way to get me to interact, though, is through Twitter, and I just appreciate it that way, because I know it's me, I know it's me. And so, but also we got a YouTube channel that Tex does it. We give that a real good plug here real quick. It's tinyurl.com/BB video. And you just go there, and Tex has done some really, really good work with using Jeremy and my voice from this podcast and putting footage behind it. It's a really cool channel. We got about 6,000 subscribers to it. But I want you guys to like it, share it, and also subscribe to it. I don't go to the comments there a lot, because I just don't. But Jeremy or text. They'll send me something and say, hey, look at this, and there'll be a good, nice comment and stuff, and I appreciate that. It's just that I just would rather interact in one place, and I know that's Twitter for me. But again, if you see something on a YouTube channel and you like it or you dislike it or whatever, give us a thumbs up, give us a thumbs down. Tell a friend by sharing it, subscribe to it. But also, if you got a comment, feel free to talk to Jeremy and talk to Tex and those things. And if you want to talk to me, just go to Twitter at BobbyBlaze744 and say, hey, man, I just watched this video, and tell me what you think, good, bad, or indifferent. That way, at least we can interact with each other, I just choose not to do both, or if you have Facebook, all three.
Yep. So, that is quite all right. So, yeah, everybody, you can check us out on Twitter and YouTube by following the links that Bobby just gave you. All right, Bobby, let's hear about Sunday Bloody Sunday.
Okay, so I get to what a good thing is I get to lose my microphone there. I get to take my mom with me to the matches, and my brother, who's living in Key West, Florida, who's, we grew up just being wrestling fans. I've told that story. He's going to come all the way from Key West, Florida, and come up to Knoxville, Tennessee at the Knoxville Civic Coliseum to see me wrestle Jerry the King Lawler, because kind of touched on how, my brother and I both started watching Memphis. He discovered it and seeing Bill Dundee, and it was the old Memphis tapes at the time, like 10 years old. I hadn't been watching it for a while. Like, wow, that gave us something to reconnect, like you and your brother watch NWA. It's one of those things you still got in common. You can talk about those things. Well, so I was scheduled to go on a Friday or a Saturday night and work a Friday night show, and it got canceled. But which was a relief to my mom, because she was just kind of taking care of my dad and this and that. It's all worked out though. So we get in the car, we go to Knoxville, Tennessee, get a hotel room, and we meet my brother and some other in-laws and this and that. And it's really just a nice time. And I'm kind of the only one. I just told my brother even, I said, something's going to happen. That's all I can tell you. Something's going to happen. So I didn't tell my mom. I'm kayfabe, man. I'm like, just, something good's going to happen. I'd like to have you there, So one of those kind of things, man. And I'm at the Civic Coliseum, and I'm in a first match. And I've been gone for, like I said, from there, probably a legitimate 3 or 4 months out of Knoxville. I've been, doing the other stuff, like I said. So I'm going to wrestle Brian Keys or Brian Logan, real good dude. He had trained with the Smoky Mountain crew, and he broke in there, and real good wrestler. We were going to open a match up, the show up with about a 5, 7, 10-minute match, whatever time we was allowed. I think we only went about 5 or 7. But right before I was getting ready to go out, I had been listening to a Tom Petty tape that had that song "I Won't Back Down" on it. And I thought, man, this is what I need to come out to. And I'm right by the curtain, and I thought, oh shit. Now, not for the actual match, not that, didn't cut it that short. But I was sitting there and I was talking to Mark Curtis, and he's like, you got some new music. 'Cause I was coming out to an old Metallica song before that with Candido and stuff. And I was like, oh yeah, hold on, man. And I remember I had my gear on, but it wasn't time for the show. Like, maybe 45 minutes away or something like that. But I was like, I ran back out to my car, my gear, and I got that cassette, and I said, play the song right here, man. I won't back down. And he goes, you got it, man. So that's where that came from, because I had been listening to it, and I was running it through my head how this thing was going to play out, because I wasn't going to quit. I didn't quit when I got beat, those kind of things. Wasn't going to back down kind of thing. So I go out there. They have Brian's in the ring. I go out there, opening match. Boom. He puts me over, Northern Light suplex, 1, 2, 3. Welcome back, Bobby Blaze kind of thing. Okay. Curtain jerker, opening match, whatever. That's how that went. So I go back in the back. Now, I don't know how all this other stuff's going to play out, but I know it's going to play out in some way which I'm fine with. Because I don't need to know every little thing. Just give me the blueprint. I'm just going to, tell you. I know, I got the idea. I'm going to be in that main event one way or another. Now, how we're going to get there, let's see, because that's where the creative mind of Cornette comes in. That's where the workability and professionalism of Lawler and, first of all, myself, Lawler, and then Landau and White Boy, and then also with Bob Armstrong. And, of course, that's someone else that probably knew. As I tell a story, I had these people probably know now, who's in on what. So, anyway, they do the deal where it's Sunday, Bloody Sunday, and I'm in the back, and I've got like one boot unlaced. I've got my knee pad down, this and that, just hanging out. But I'm watching the show, and White Boy goes out there. Landell gloms him with the briefcase, and then he comes out saying, hey, you can't finish the match, can't have a match because he's drunk, and they haul him out. So Lawler's like in the ring, and Landell goes, well, Jerry, I guess it's me and you, and all of a sudden here comes Bullet Armstrong. Hold on. No, you got to win a match that was a stipulation. You have to beat someone to have a chance to be the heavyweight champion again. So I'm in the back, of course. I go back even further into the locker room area, and here comes Bullet. And he comes back here. He goes, here it is, Bobby. You ready, kid? Kind of thing. And I stood back here and talked to him so many times before. And, just that whole atmosphere just kind of comes back to you. I'm sitting there going, oh, shit, this is, I've been working like almost 3 years now or whatever it was, 2.5. And like, oh, man, this is real, buddy. Get ready to go. And it's going to happen. So, of course, because Armstrong had said, I'm going to go back in the back and get the first wrestler I see, and that's who's going to be in this championship match. And then here comes the spotlight again. Here comes, Bullet Bomb Armstrong and myself down the aisle, man. And the fucking place is looking. It's to me, it's confusing. You can, it's like, I think people are like, I don't know, the reaction is good or the reaction is confusing. I'm not getting booed, I'll say it, but it's like, yay, but it's like they're still hesitant. You know what I'm saying? My first night back, and they hadn't seen me for a while. So we get out there, and of course, Lawler's up there, and hey, kid, come here. I'm going to give you a chance to get out of here. You're nothing but a curtain jerker, whatever. And he take a picture with me. And, Lawler and I took a picture, and he's like, this is the next biggest thing to being a star. You're going to be in a ring. And Lawler just got that, I was explaining Jerry Lawler, he just boom. You just go with it, man. And so at this point, the story, man, really, in the back, I spoke to everyone, welcomed everyone, welcomed me back and this and that. I talked to Lawler, just, hey, introduced myself. Me and White Boy were talking, and I walked over to Landell and Lawler, and I spoke to Buddy, and I said, hey, Jerry, nice to meet you, blah, 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 Blaze, be working with you later on, whatever. And he goes, yeah, okay. And this was after that first match even. He said, it was really professional, very, very, right to the point. Hey, all that clapping and stuff. He said, don't worry about that during this match. He said, I'll get you over. Don't worry about stomping your feet, clapping, typical babyface stuff. He said, just don't worry about that. Everything else, just listen. So I was like, okay. Because, when you're doing your comeback or whatever, you get the fans, hey, Bobby, whatever. Yeah. Didn't need it for that match because it's a whole different kind of match. So I get up there, and, of course, the bell rings, and Lawler and I go at it, and it's a little bit lopsided, of course, but that's the way it's supposed to be. I'm not supposed to go up there and whip his ass, He's Jerry the King Lawler. He's a Smoky Mountain Heavyweight Champion. It's a work, So I just go with it. You take what the guy gives you, So I've mentioned before, like, I do a lot of kicks. Didn't do a lot of punching at that time. So, I did this and did that, got him in the corner, done some kicks. He cut me off, and boom. Time's right. When he said, when the time's right, I'll grab you in a headlock. And when he grabbed me in that headlock, I knew, okay, just shoot him off. And I could see where Landell was jumping up on the apron there, like, trying to distract the referee. I shoot Lawler off. Him and Landell hit. Landell takes the bump outside the ring. I roll back Lawler, 1, 2, 3, and I'm the Smoky Mountain Heavyweight Champion. Like, holy shit. The thing I remember from that was the place popped big time. And I remember Bullet Armstrong popping, and I remember Scott Armstrong popping. For whatever reason, he was out there. It was just, there's people out there that you remember being at ringside, and I'm looking at Lawler because he's looking disgusted, walking away, arguing with Landell. Landell's yelling at him. I'm still kind of beat up from Lawler. That's the whole point of it. I'm still kind of beat up, so I'm just kind of laying there. Even though I got raised up or whatever, I'm probably like down on one knee, holding the belt up, whatever it is. It's like I'm there, but it's like just enough time for Landell to grab the microphone and say, well, Bobby, I guess it's you and me. And he just proceeds to jump in and start beating piss out of me again because I'm already beat down. This is my third match now. You know what I'm saying? That's the whole thing. We're selling the whole fucking card here, folks. We're selling the whole program. We're selling the next 6 or 8 weeks of programming here. We're not just we're working for the match, but we're also working for the company, That's what I think sometimes people miss when they say, I want so-and-so to be the champion right now, or they watch a pay-per-view and they get pissed off because it ends a certain way, whatever. Well, most companies have a direction, especially these companies that's been around for a while. So, and companies have goals, like we was talking about NWA And the AEW, they have these goals of what they want to do with their product. WWE, believe me, they would not be around like they are if they didn't have a product that people still watch. So everyone can't be happy all the time. So maybe people wanted White Boy to win that night. Maybe they wanted Landell to win. I don't know. You know what I'm saying? But all I know is the way we worked it out was I'm done had one match. I'm tired from that. Now I come back in a second match as an underdog against Jerry Lawler, and holy shit, I win that one. And then Landell's jumping right up on me. Boom, boom, boom. Again, nothing was called. The only thing in Lawler's match was said, basically, don't worry about stomping and clapping and stuff. When I grabbed the headlock, it's time. With Landell, I've been around Buddy enough to know, if Buddy's on, Buddy's on. And we've talked about that before. We've done pretty much a whole segment on him at one time. But, this is going to be our first night there to start this deal. And, all I got to do is basically wait for when the time's right. You know what I'm saying? When the time's right, White Boy's going to be out there somewhere. So I don't have a whole lot of cues. I just know to work. Landell will be out there during the first match. When he jumps on the apron, Lawler's going to grab a headlock and get rid of him. Same thing with Landell. We're going to get in the ring. He's going to glom me a little bit. He's going to cat and mouse me a little bit, back and forth, whatever. And when the time's right, White Boy's going to run out there with the bandage on his head and try to, break up the fight or the wrestling match because he thinks he needs to be in that title. And when he does, Landell's over arguing with him, and I'm just in position that as I go down, I schoolboy Landell, 1, 2, 3. And that's actually where I saw Scotty Armstrong and Bullet get the most. They were out there trying to keep Tony Anthony from coming back in the ring. That's why they was out there, to kind of retract what I said earlier there. But it was one of those things where, I remember Landell, glomming me a little bit, I set up for a DDT. He said, go for a backdrop or something. And he DDT'd me. Okay, I just lay there, sell it, whatever. So not a whole lot has to be said. It's just working. At some point in the night, though, or during that match, rather, of course, I get shit canned out of the ring. Boom, I'm out. I'm over by the announcer's table. Next thing you know, there's Landell on me still, grabs me by the back of the hair, grabs the trunks. Let's go. Boom, I go through the announcer's table deal. Now, not a big bump or anything. I'm just talking about when it's laying down, I skid row it. I jump across it, go through it that way, not actually going through it, like just knocking it down. So I'm not talking about like a big bump through it. I'm just talking about knocking the chairs out of the way, the table coming down on me, and then boom, next thing you know, I've got juice because it is Sunday, Bloody Sunday. Mm-hmm. And when I come out, of course, Landell knows, okay, punch him in the, get on him. He does. The roll back in the ring, all the sweat, the blood, it's right there. The heat, just holding your breath and getting that blood going. And then, like I said, then eventually, you get to your finish. But at the finish, you're a fucking bloody I got the Crimson Mask going. We talk about the Muda scale. I don't know if it was on the Muda scale anywhere near that, but it was. I got me some good color, man, and still got some pictures of it that you alluded to there a minute ago, and it was a hell of a good night, man. Like I said, my mom didn't know what was going on. My brother was telling me he didn't know, he didn't know what was going to go on, but he was like, there's Bob, he's wrestling Jerry the King Lawler. But then he was telling Mom, he goes, where he was sitting at, she goes, stuff like, well, that's my son, or, oh God, is he hurting him? And he was like, my brother kept saying, he's going to be all right, Mom. He's going to be all right, stuff like that, because he didn't really know it was going to happen, but he knew something big was going to happen. But, I guess it's hard sitting there seeing your son down there, and the believability factor is still there, because you haven't really, people know, but they don't know. Does that make sense?
Yep.
My brother obviously knew that we're working, but he don't know the finish, which is even better for him as a fan, But he's had to tell my mom, like, oh yeah, he's gonna be okay. He's gonna be okay, But yeah, I glommed up there pretty good, man. It was a good night, and that started my run for the Smoky Mountain Heavyweight title. And if you want to, and you're out there listening, and I know we've got several good listeners that's already bought my books, but I'm gonna give one. That story, I go into more detail in it in my book, Pin Me, Pay Me, Jeremy. And that book is available on Amazon. And I just want to give myself a little segue there. So if you want to, read that or give it to someone else or tell them to listen to this podcast, whatever, you can go to tinyurl.com/blazebook1, and I take you to Pin Me, Pay Me, and that's where I tell this story at, because that's one night, I didn't get pinned, but I got paid, and that really started, a really good run for me. I had a good run for Smoky Mountain, continued a good run for me being the champion, And for what it's worth, that year for the PWI top 500, I had moved up from like 260 something to like 109. And I thought, oh shit, and I was never one of them guys that believed your own publicity kind of guys kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
I understand, I know what I was in, I know what I was doing. So I didn't have to go around saying, yeah, I'm top 500, wrestler, whatever, I wasn't, to me, but that to me, to take it that shoot was, that was a nice honor to be recognized by people that put you in those things, when magazine articles were written about you. And I was even in a WWE magazine when it was WWF with mine and Candido's run was in there. There's 2 pictures in an old Raw magazine, I think it was, and it's called Blazing Through the Smokies or Blazing Through Smoky Mountain or something like that. And it's an article about the Smoky Mountain crew. Huh. There's 2 big color pictures of me and Candido working through there, and so that's always nice to be recognized that way. But I know, that do I believe Dean Malenko was the top 1 wrestler, number 1 or what, 1997? Hell yeah. But it's hard for me to believe that I was a number 109, in 95 or 96. Yeah, that's hard for me to believe though, that's just me though. But I know it's true. I know it's true.
Well, and there's the thing, like you're a humble guy, and I was going to ask as a follow-up. Yeah.
I'm a humble motherfucker with a 12-inch dick. No, wait a minute. Never mind. I'm not that humble. No, yeah. I don't have a 12-inch dick. I got a 2-inch dick. Look, I know what it is. I am humble. I got a 2-inch dick, but I got a 9-inch tongue, and I can part my hair with it. Yeah, there we go.
There you go. Yeah, well, there you go.
I'm humble.
Yeah, but where I was headed with that is like it's gotta stroke your ego a little bit because. Yeah, you won the title, but what it really means is that the owners of the company or whoever does the booking in the company feel like they can trust you with the future of the company, at least for whatever time you've got that.
Yes.
So, I mean, that's got to be a nice little ego stroke of its own. And I can also see where, even though, it's worked, but I can see where that would go to somebody's head too,
Yeah. That's the thing. And I appreciate you saying it because here's the thing. I know a couple old timers I've mentioned before, people I've met and stuff, and that's, training with Malenko and stuff. And I think Carl Gotch was one of the ones that said something, the worst hold they can put on you is the office hold. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So, I've also seen heard where, Terry Funk said, something along the lines, you didn't beat anyone, the office, they penciled you in, you know what I'm saying? They penciled you in, you're the champion. So it's kind of one of those things, but that's and I mean that again, I'm being very serious to kind of, I'm humbled by it, but also I respect it enough to know the difference of making a joke of it, like, oh yeah, you was just penciled in, you really didn't beat this, whatever. No, it was kayfabe enough and worked enough and professional enough. That's why I still, to this day, I thank Cornette for what he done for my career. I'm thankful of what Buddy and White Boy did for me. I'm thankful for what Jerry Lawler did for me. You know what I'm saying? They understood business. They did business with me. I did business with them. And I appreciate that and respect that. And I also am appreciative that at some point, Cornette had this idea. He may or may not have ran it by Sandy or Brian or whoever, but he had enough trust in me that, that's the thing I was thinking about the other day driving down the street there. About the second part of the interview. That's another thing when they put that junior heavyweight title on me, they kept booking me and stuff like that. That's the main thing. It's like while I was there, that's the thing. I mentioned I worked out all the time. I had a good body, not great, but a good body for Smoky Mountain Wrestling. It wasn't great, but it was good. And I kept myself in pretty decent shape. And I took pride in the fact that, I was going to work in the office. See, that's another thing. They don't want someone to have to fucking babysit all the time. I'm a grown man and they don't have to babysit me. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to get to the arena on time. I'm going to show up on time. I'm going to do my match as professional as I can. I didn't go around saying, no, I'm not putting this guy over, that guy over. You know what I'm saying? I went there willing to work, looking for that break, and I got it. And once I got it, that is, to me, that's the realistic part is not only do they give you a tryout match, they booked you. Not only do they book you, they start bringing you back for TVs. Not only do they bring you back for TV, they put the TV title on you. Then they give you the junior heavyweight title because you're working for it too. That's the thing. You're working your ass off to stay there because someone else out there hungry going to take your spot, And if you're not doing your job, the creative is not going to see you in a way And in this case, just a small office there, of Corny and the crew, like we've mentioned before, Sandy and whoever else has some influence there. Well, that's the thing. Jimmy asks for my input all the time, very professional. Like, what do you think about this? He asked me early on, Bobby, this next TV, not the very first one, but maybe 2 or 3 TVs. He said, Bobby, you want to start coming to the production meetings? And I'd be at the TVs like at 3 o'clock in the afternoon or whatever it was, for 2 hours sitting in a production meeting, looking at the booking sheet, looking at where this is going, how many tapes I want, who's on this tape, what's it mean to be on a first, second tape, who are you, how's this TV laid out, how's this writing, it gave me a lot of, I earned the responsibility, and with that responsibility came more and more responsibility. So when that title was put on me, I had to be responsible for that company, you know what I'm saying? So
yeah.
I was appreciative of that. They had enough trust in me to carry that belt around for the next 6 or 8 weeks, however long it was there, to this is where the game plan is. This is where this company's trying to go, and I'm just going to be the champion. I think, and I don't want to go into whole lot of detail at this point about it. We talked about the love-hate relationship with Buddy and myself. Mm-hmm. I love Buddy, had a lot of respect for Buddy. But him and White Boy, both of them, I think, they both kind of let it, they thought that title really was theirs. They both from down that area. And I think they both were fine people and fine champions in their own right, but that was during that time, that was my time to be the champion, And I was, again, just saying I'm appreciative that I got to do business with them. But I do think that, there are certain people that do let that title go to their head, and it's a whole ego trip or ego blast or whatever. I didn't. I was appreciative of where I was at on the card. I was appreciative of what I'd done, and I was glad to do it, and I'd done it with pride and honor, So that's probably where I come in, being humble about it. So, but so I had a good run there, man. And
yeah.
I know we're coming up on our time, and basically I stuck around when I did drop the title eventually to Landale in Johnson City, Tennessee. I didn't quit. I didn't back down. Referee Mark Curtis stopped the fight. So that kind of kept me really strong. If you people out there watch Booking the Territory or listen to Booking the Territory, I'm going to throw that out there for them guys. Give them a shout out. They just done the segments here where I won the title. And I think the last one I listened to, I think I lost it again. But again, just because I lost the title, Cornette kept me booked. I stayed booked all the way through to the end of the time when it shut down. And I was kind of speed through that, we went through, Brad Armstrong came in, Terry Gordy was there, Tommy Rich was there. There was a lot of good talent that come in and out of Smoky Mountain Wrestling. And I was booked all the way till about this time of the year of, whatever year it shut down. I guess it was 96 is what it was. And, so I stayed booked, all the way through 95 through November of 96. And, I went to a show. I'd done a show we had a Friday, Saturday, and a Monday. I don't think we had a Sunday afternoon when we had a 3-day loop, but the first 2 was kind of close to my house. And then we were off on Sunday, if I'm not mistaken, or at least I was. And then Monday was TV. And so what happened was we were at a house show about an hour and a half from my house, and we had a hell of a good crowd. I mentioned Pikeville, Kentucky earlier. This was a smaller community in that area. It wasn't a big show like the Bluegrass Brawl, but we had a good house for a Friday night, and no one got paid. We asked for a draw, and no one got paid. Oh, that's good. I know payday's Monday, but you can still ask for a little bit of money. And I heard some people asking, they didn't get the draw. I didn't ask because I was very close to home, so I thought, oh, that's a good house. We'll get paid. Everything's cool. Saturday we done another show. Again, not as big as that one, but still a good house. And again, I know some guys were like, something might be going on here. I don't know what. I think there was a Sunday show, but I wasn't on it. And then so I get the TVs on Monday, and I'm still hearing some rumbling, but no one really knows, exactly what's going on. And so we go to get our paychecks, and I remember Robert Gibson standing in front of me, and I remember Gordy and Rich had already been in. And we was just standing in line just outside of where Cornette was in this area handing out paychecks. And I remember seeing Gordy and Rich walk by, and they was talking to each other like this is bullshit kind of thing. And I don't know what the fuck they was talking about because it wasn't my conversation to be having. Right. I was talking to Robert Gibson. I can't remember who was behind me. It might have been Kyle or someone, but I was like, just heard some rumbling that people aren't getting paid tonight. And I was like, that's not, I don't know about that. So I knew if Robert Gibson went in there and come out with no pay, because I thought them other guys might have been working me. I'm sitting there going, these guys been around. They're friends. They're just working. You know, they got fucking money. They're kayfabing to get the fuck out of this building. You know what I'm saying? So when Robert come out, I could see like, you know, I don't think he got paid. There's no check tonight or something like that. You know what I'm saying? And I was like, I went in there and Cornette said, hey, Bobby, you know, thanks for everything, blah, blah, blah. He goes, listen, here's what's going on. And I remember he only asked me one other time. He said, he gave me a check on a Monday. He said, don't cash this till Wednesday just to be safe. That was like one time out of the 2.5 years or whatever. Well, that particular night, like I said, he just said, I need your real name and your social and your address or whatever. He goes, I'm going to have to mail everyone a check. And I go, are you kidding me? It's not a work, right? I mean, I was sitting on the bench talking to him, just two gentlemen discussing business. And I was like, you know, I just making sure. I was like, you're not working me, right? He goes, no, I'm, you know, this is just what's going on. And I assure y'all, you know, I'll do good on it. You know, I had no reason to doubt that whatsoever. So anyway, speed past that, a couple more weeks went by. I still had some bookings and stuff. And I had the booking sheet, and I did what I was supposed to do. And then there was 2 or 3 shows, I know 2 of the week of like Thanksgiving or the last week before it shut down. I was scheduled to be on out in the middle of closer over towards Nashville or above Nashville. There's a couple of towns there that we normally didn't run, and it was on the booking sheet. And they'd been pretty kind of far from me, I'll say that, farther than what I usually went. And then Jimmy called me and said, hey, Bobby, I'm going to fill you. Gordy and Rich was going to take those bookings. I can't remember who else stayed home, but he asked me, he said, hey, you care to stay home these next couple of nights? I think he brought Terry in because he was from over in Chattanooga. And I know, you know, so I think he brought him up and someone else. Because like I said, they've been working towns too. So everyone was just kind of happy to stay busy. But so anyway, I said, yeah, Jimmy, that's no problem. And he told me, he said, this is what I owe you. He said, I'm still going to pay you. Thanks for filling out these other dates. I've got them written down. We confirmed, you know, I'd done those 3 nights there. I mentioned that Friday and Saturday, done the TV. And then I think I'd done 2 more. So like 5 or 6, you know, I know I had 5 or 6 matches that he owed me for, or nights, I'll say, not matches, but nights. And he goes, I assure you everything's going to be taken care of that way. I appreciate you, you know, handling this and being professional about it and all that. I had no reason to doubt it whatsoever, man. So then, of course, they ran a couple of towns. Again, I wasn't there. Those 2 towns, I'd been there like the week before, and, you know, word was something's going to happen soon, and it did. It shut down. And so, you know, I can't remember if I called Jimmy or Jimmy called me the next week or so. Because meaning the weekend shows, whatever happened, whatever nights they ran, you know, hell, he might have ran Thanksgiving night. I really don't know what the exact date was. But basically, we spoke on the phone. He goes, yeah, Bobby, I assure you everything's going to be taken care of. I'm just trying to straighten all this stuff out. And I knew Smoky Mountain was shut down. I knew Jim Cornette owed me money, but I knew Jim Cornette was going to pay me because I had no reason to ever doubt that. I knew Smoky Mountain was going to take care of, you know, what their obligation was, which was basically what I just now said because, you know, Jim was in charge of that. And it took a little bit. You know, we stayed in contact. I told him what was going on with me, and of course he was working for WWE at the time, and he's going up there more and more. And he said something like, you know, would you like to? Again, we're just talking, 2 gentlemen discussing business. I wasn't worried about the money. Could I have used it? Sure. Everyone, you know, who can't, right? But he asked me if I wanted to come to Cincinnati and Huntington, West Virginia. One of them's like 2.5 hours away, and Huntington's like 20 minutes away. I'd done TVs years before that, you know, for WWF at the time. Well, he said, I can get you on a couple of shows if you want to make a little paycheck here or there. We got these 2 nights coming up. And I told him, I said, I've already talked to Kevin Sullivan, I already talked to Paul Orndorff. You know, what do you think? And at the time, this is money separate than what he owed me, you know, just
right.
Let you know what kind of person I think he is, because he said, I can get you $300 each night. Well, who couldn't use $600, right? Especially if your bookings have shut down. And again, this is about a month later. And I said, well, Jimmy, I said, would I get to have a good match? Like Al Snow's there, Unibomb's there, people I know, you know what I'm saying? And I go, would I get to have a good competitive match, or they's going to eat me up on TV or what? He goes, well, that's the thing, Bobby. He goes, I don't have any control over that. He goes, I wish I could tell you could go out there and work with, Al Snow or Steve Blackman or something and tear the house down, because I know you can. And this is kind of like foreshadowing for what happened years later in WCW. Like, he goes, well, I can't tell you, Sid ain't going to come out and just power bomb you and be over with, So he goes, but I did tell him, till eventually I did get one of those, down there in WCW. But at the time I said, well, Jimmy, I've already talked to Kevin, which I had, and I had already talked to Orndorff, which I had, Kevin twice and Paul once. He said, Bobby, I always thought you'd be a good fit down in Atlanta, man. He goes, if you've talked to Paul, he goes, and he said, and Kevin's told you, he goes, I wouldn't go on our TV either. He goes, you do what you want to do. I'm just letting you know I can get you some extra money. And I said, well, ask him what he thought. He said, well, I wouldn't, because I was in negotiations. I had already talked to them in serious. They wasn't doing contracts, but they offered me some nightly pays equivalent to that on some dark matches and stuff for WCW. So, because everyone moves on, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's not like he's already working, why can't I, kind of thing. But, and I had some independent bookings because the people started, picking us up again that wasn't on TV and ran those areas because no one's running them anymore. Someone else ran Knoxville, someone, done this and that around those areas. But anyway, long story short on that was I didn't go to that WWF taping, neither one of them. I did go to Huntington because it's, like I said, 20 minutes from my house. I saw Jimmy in person. I saw Chris and Tammy and Al. I saw the people I knew. Kyle actually come up and done the TVs. I just went up there and visited. I saw X-Pac and, Sean or whatever at the time. So I made a night of just going up there and hanging out, at backstage. And that's all I did. And I didn't once mention to Jimmy in person, like, oh, hey, you owe me that, nothing like that. It was two different discussions, And a few weeks later, man, Jimmy called me and said, hey, Bobby, just want to let you know I'm putting your check in the mail. And I don't know how much time's passed. It could be 6 weeks, 5 weeks, I don't know. But all that time, that wasn't even pressure or anything. And he said, just do me a favor, said, call me when you get it. And I was like, okay. And I said probably something like, is it good that day? You're going to hold it or anything? And he's like, no, when you get it, cash it, And a couple of days, I guess it was mailed out of Morristown or Knoxville or wherever. He might have been on the road. But anyway, I got my check, and I called him, and I said, hey, I got my check, and thank you very much, and we're good. And he said, yeah, we're good, and he probably apologized that it took as long as it did. And I probably said it's probably no problem because it wasn't as long as it could have been. Or it could have been worse. No one could have paid me,
Yeah.
But he paid me every dime he owed me. We had compared him prior to that, like we said that evening, and then again on the phone we confirmed. And that was just the end of it. But as far as, for me, with Smoky Mountain Wrestling, that was just my run was over. But I did pick up some lot of independent bookings around there. I got every dime that was owed to me from there, a good amount of exposure from there. And, like I said, I was already in negotiation. I had a chance to go and do some more WWF TV, as I just said, but I was already in negotiation with WCW. And I was already talking to Tracy about going to Mexico, which that didn't happen. It was just something we both had talked about. But I had made a connection in Japan. So I was like, oh, okay, so I already had things lining up. Just trying to keep the ball rolling, just kind of self-promotion, if you will,
Sure.
But yeah, as far as Smoky Mountain, it was a good run from the very first time. As we talked about at the top of this hour, I'm a Cornette guy because from the very first phone call, it was nothing but professional and courteous, and we done business together. And to the last time, I saw him, I think was in April. I went to that reunion show, and man, as soon as I walked in that restaurant, give him a hug, man, tell you I love you, man. It's good to see you, and to see they was actually honoring the Midnight Express for 30 years, and stuff. I have nothing, but love and respect from the time I got to try out Smoky Mountain to the time, I got my final check there, and that was never brought up until I just now brought it up, saying, that's just kind of the way it was. When it ended, they had time to shut their books down and stuff. So I don't want anyone out there to think that I was ever in doubt of getting paid, or I was ever mad or pissed off about not getting paid. Nothing like that at all whatsoever. It was business only, and that's the way it was conducted. It was business only. And when they shut the books down or whatever, the best of my knowledge, everyone got every cent that was owed to them, but I know I did. And that's because I had a professional relationship with Jim Cornette, and I really enjoyed being a part of, from the very first tryout match to my very last match, being a part of Smoky Mountain Wrestling. And, I think it's nice to be remembered that way.